should be streaming now, but there's a lag. It's enough or no? Alright, hold on. I think I should restart. No? Can you try refresh? Where there? Loving this, by the way. Loving it. Wait. What?
The big unveiling this year.
I didn't even fucking do a dummy run to the top. I just got this off. I working now and I
Are you sure? Just because you're in working there.
I'll chat. Yeah, let's see if I can. That's asking what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. People start. Come on, get it up. Why did you get up? Cross it. Yeah, it's fine. Fucking cross it. There's three of them.
Yeah, that's right, that's it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, three there, and you.
That's it.
Oh yeah! You can start!
Vicious that's the
Right?
vicious.
Just wrap it up with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Some making sure people
Is that the one you read it already?
You're going back to great contract now?
that I am.
They're making me do all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just too fucking bored at the moment. Copy and paste, copy paste.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's so far away from.
Answering we shout up and support tickets.
It is like,
No, but we don't have to answer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just too much of a change.
Yeah.
Go on.
How are you getting on? How are you getting on? Is that
Green Bay,
Oh, that was really read a lot.
getting very, very busy now with the filters. UA for projects too. So 3D was nice. But sure,
Wow, referee, that was like vicious challenge again. Yeah, it was vicious. So exciting.
I just shared the link anyway for the live stream.
Oh, lovely.
you need to wear the live mic.
Yeah. Just thinking there now, should I? No, fuck it. If the wife, if like, it's not be streamed on Wi-Fi, then know that, right? Just then it might be that good. So
Yeah. Just click that and then just throw that in your back pocket. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the wire going through your shirt or anything. It's grand. It won't get picked up.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and you have screen recording on that as well.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so you need to do that as well as the conference.
Yeah, I've never used this software before. Did you ever use it, OBS? So I'm hitting
no.
here, start recording. I don't know where it's going to go.
Why don't you just use the QuickTime?
Okay, I'm gonna.
I could. Well, actually, do you know what? I think I used QuickTime before, and I need to be able to swipe between windows, and I don't think it records that. So, but like this should be doing
No,
it.
it does as long as it doesn't record two different screens, but it does record
Whatever
window
is-
swipes between the one screen.
Yeah, no problem. I can do it. So my means like this or something. Not my face, please.
I think it's
What did he hit it with?
just control.
One sec. Just-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Between these two.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the thing is, swipe back there. You have to like click on the screen. Then once you start the recording, you have to actually click on the screen.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't record.
So I just probably know before with Vic that it didn't actually record. That looks like it's recording, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's
So as long
recording
as
now.
I click here, it
Yeah.
records. And if I go to any other screen, like I have another, I'm going to here as well. I'll have to click again.
No, it should be
Just
fine.
the first time.
Yeah.
Right, no problem.
Just to test it out there,
I'll
just stop recording and it'll let you play it then.
Daniel, I don't know, Paul used to say there that
Yeah.
YouTube will actually record it for you. And then you can download it as it before. So
Done. That's great.
That software,
Paul is just confirm that all screens are recording.
but it's not very good quality, it's very compressed. Yeah.
I just have large font, like I think it'll be alright. Like, don't you just have pretty basic stuff, you know?
I know it says convert or QuickTime convert.
Right, no problem. Quick time as well. I don't even know how I just opened an old video. Jesus Christ. Alright, how do I even do this again? Can you want to turn that on? I think it's a way too long. So, can they even hear me?
Yeah, Paul, this is it. So you can talk about it.
Paul is your dick. Bro shorts for children.
Profiles for
It's
children.
like the real out of right.
I think I might have advice here.
No.
By then, that
This depends on dinner. So.
You don't have to get paid.
No, it's actually because I'm sure I know it's all put down, but taking bets. Taking bets. Taking bets.
I think pretty safe to me. Yeah, that he does it. For a few minutes, I think.
I just have to not shut down my computer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. 60% of the balance sheet
Then you try the phone, just check out. Stay the 20%.
What, the CD?
Just to check out.
So, what's it called? Set. Yeah. Just leave it in.
is right there.
Slightly offset.
Just do the presentation so we'll fight them. I think that's recording now on here as well.
Probably just said, what have you done? You quit and there, the fuck will be yourself. The screen is properly.
Alright. Shit. How many? I think that's it now. I think it's okay. Don't you hear when someone leaves like the cursor like right there? So. Multiple people found up on law.
Can happen, right?
Yeah. I didn't do a job on the remote in like 10 minutes. So. You just like right click the screen and stretch the screen and then transform. Yeah. Barely all, isn't it?
Twitch. Are you on two times up?
Yeah. And suppose I'm literally. You're not fucking cameras.
More space.
Yeah.
YouTube says.
But it's a private link, so only these people that have the links.
Yeah.
Don't share the link.
Nobody gets the 3% off.
It's lost of time forever.
You need to buy the.
Regeneration.
So we're going to sell them for only 150. Do they taste like plastic? Do they taste like plastic?
Thanks for that.
Well, there's one of them, every reusable one you get tastes like fucking plastic for years.
You should just play it up the first time and then bring it back.
Right.
Use it.
Okay, so we're rotating tech talks now all the time between different teams. Not saying I have to do it, I have to do it. So yeah, I want to talk about our web apps and our build systems, and that we're trying to align web apps. So I'm going to go through a little bit of how we got here. I'm here 4 years of last week. So I have a little bit of insight into it, like not, it's like maybe 10 years old teamwork at this stage, but you know, so I'll share as much as I can. And then a little bit about our project we're working on now, a common build system, our new stack review and stuff, some features of the build system, and what we plan to do next. So when I joined Teamwork, there was a Code Fusion script that combined JavaScript. There wasn't as much JavaScript in the Teamwork projects as there is now. There was a lot of jQuery. There was jQuery mobile as well. There was Prototype as well as jQuery, which was a bit confusing because there's some stuff going on. Yeah, so not that much JavaScript in there. But since then, obviously, there's been a lot more. There was a little bit of knockout back then as well, but nowhere as close to what it is now. Then we started Teamwork Chat, and to be fair to the mobile team, they were the guys who started with CoffeeScript and Gulp first, back when they were using Accelerator for everything. Gulp was really nice improvement on what everything else that was out there at the time. Simple code over configuration and stuff. But CoffeeScript was like, a lot of people thought it just looked a bit nice, but it did add some features as well, like, there are shorthands for things and stuff like that. So we adopted it for Teamwork Chat. Went with less Jade. That's an example probably of a mistake. I would say that we decided to use it because it was a bit nice for templates, but really it's this thing that's different to all the rest of the company for no real reason. Like, there's no real value to it other than it's nice little shorthand, but because you're using Knockout, you're actually using all of Jade anyway to pass the data. You're actually using Knockout, so it's very little benefit. Browserify, which what that does is you give an entry point to your app, and then let's say you call that like your main entry point is called init.js or whatever. If you then require other scripts, then it will pull that all into one script in the end. So what I was telling you with that is it follows CommonJS, which is the style of the way you require the dependencies, and that lines up with Node. So that was handy because Teamwork Chat has desktop app, and in that you use a bit of Node as well. So then you wouldn't have to kind of shift the way you're running your dependencies between one context and the other, and so that they could reuse. At the time we created multiple dependencies on private NPM where we could actually share code between the backend, the front end, and the desktop app. At the time we used Bower as well for a lot of front end dependencies. It's kind of following the fashion now, but there's a couple of nice things about it. I still don't think it's there in the chat system right now, but there's some nice things about it, like where we had set up a thing called main Bower files. So all you have to do is Bower install a certain dependency, and then once you require it in your script, it just works. There's no other config. It's pretty nice. But it didn't kind of the system itself doesn't have great, say, loading on demand and bundling capabilities and things like that. So as well in the system there was a bit of desktop building stuff. So building for NWJS apps or now Electron apps because they switched from NWJS, and a lot more. So it ended up it started out really nice simple, but then ended up growing to this massive beast where there's parts for mobile apps and desktop apps and all this other stuff going on. But it was overall at the start at least it was pretty good. So then Teamwork Projects took a little bit of this itself then back. So I remember at one stage adding say Gulp Less, where that's just a particular plugin. I just remember doing it in the project's code base. So all that did was just like it checks that there's this problem on IE8 when you have too many selectors in your CSS file. So like it's a Go plugin that checks that limit to prevent the multiple files over that limit. So they just started adding a small bit. So instead of that combine.cfn, they had Gulp and Gulp concat and things like that. And you had a few less files, but they still had some other CSS files in there using Go or things like that. So just a few small improvements to projects. Then Desk came along, and it went off in a different route. So I think it was Topper saw a talk by Steve Thomason, the head or the creator of Knockout. And he really liked the system that he had. So it was Gulp as well, but it was require.js instead of browser query. So that's AMD, if you know what that is. It's like we have defined and you have the dependencies wrapped around the whole thing. Don't really like it myself as much, but it's kind of preference. But so the system also had like Knockout components because they were just after being released or just about to be released or whatever. Proper bundling, so you can actually load on stuff on demand and use Knockout components. So when it gets to a page and sees that a component's been used, then it goes and loads it. And with it might load other components that it might need around that time and things like that. So definitely, there's definitely some definite benefits over the system, say in chat, but also some slight downsides. Like if you wanted to add a dependency, you'd have to update 3 config files. You know, so like pros and cons, but there definitely was some big benefits around like bundling and stuff. So then, when projects came out to the TKO project, where they wanted to essentially like just split the app a lot more between back and front end, have a clear separation between API and front end, and have just Knockout components everywhere. They had kind of Code Fusion intermingled like in HTML and it's kind of a mess. So what they did is they took the TMS that I just described that as a space, and then over time they started improving it. So it was kind of like a template, and then over time they started improving it. So one thing is they threw the require.js bundler. So that's the thing that kind of figures out, like I said there with Browserify, it kind of figures out your dependency, it does like static analysis, and then pulls out the one file. That's what require.js bundler kind of did, is like automatically figure out, okay, I'll create these bundles and stuff. And they threw that out and we wrote a custom thing to do it that was a lot faster. Well, obviously introducing in a lot of custom code for that thing. So, and there were probably more things they've added over time, but you know, kind of small things. So then we went onto the our app. So we're looking around at like the other apps and from my experience working around chat and stuff, and we wanted to push it forward. Anybody who's running a project wants to use the latest technologies and stuff, right? The most powerful stuff. So we wanted to use like Webpack and things like that, more modern stuff, the state of the art, where we just get a good kickstart from great benefits of the community already. But that on top of really are trying to keep a leash on all the different teams nowadays and stop us from like running off in different directions and like just like you know, so just kind of align us a bit more, just kind of pull us in the one direction a bit more. So like they wanted us to use what projects had. Since projects was like that, except it's a bit out of sync now because they've made some improvements and stuff. But so we need to take that as our base, but then we didn't want to have the same problem where we would then become out of sync with them. And if we had a benefit, like we reduce the size of the bundles by 50% or whatever, none of the rest of the teams get that. Or we might, 3 teams might be fixing the same bug simultaneously, it actually turns out to be the same thing, don't say it's like that. So we decided to create a common dependency between all of the products. So kind of like just like a dependency on NPM. So we just like install a common front end builder, and then you just use it, and then like underneath the hood it does all stuff, but like every product is just using it, and anything fixed in it or any improvements made to our bundling or whatever, every team will get it. So yeah, so I was working on that, and it was a bit tedious. So the first thing I had to do was take team of projects and bring it out and make it a dependency and make it work right. So it was just a bit like more agnostic of like a few more config options about paths, and like they had legacy code, like, so we wouldn't have legacy code. Like they had like a mix of less files and CSS files, and they would concat them together in weird ways and stuff. And it's just because it's an app that's been around a long time, there's a few weird things like that. So I had to make it so that it was a dependency that would work for them, but the standard way would be not to do some of those weird things, but still have the config option so they could pass it, so it would work for them. So it's kind of really awkward to take the legacy code and kind of fix it, but then also leave in the old way and have loads of config options for like, let's say like, oh, when you're done processing the less, here's a callback and we pass the stream, so then they can manipulate stream and add in another CSS file and then get back to us and then we handle it, and it's really complicated, like, but So I was getting there anyway. We had our app, we had a couple of pages done or whatever, we had a page done in Sierra with it. So the idea was that we would get everybody on board with this. Maybe not chat because it's like so different with Broadify and Node and stuff right now, but at least that's projects. If we all got using this, then we would update it to a more modern framework like Webpack and stuff like that. I was dying to use like Webpack and stuff, but like that was the goal, was like get everybody using it, then improve it, so then we'll all be unified, we'll all reap the benefits of it, we're all using that API. But then we decided at the Grand Council that we're going to switch to Vue, and that we're going to switch every few years, we're going to rethink it. So that kind of opened it all up again, because if you're going to go with Vue and you stick with CoffeeScript, like CoffeeScript versus ES6, I'd say like there's not wrong if you have a project that has CoffeeScript already, it's fine, but like you might pick it for a new project, but you wouldn't pick CoffeeScript with Vue.js as a new project because you'd be kind of going against the stream, like, and every bit of application looked at will be different, everything, you'd just be kind of fighting it the whole time, there's an extra tool in your system that could break and all that stuff. So then we had to reevaluate the whole build system then. So Dan Toppertassi would come up with a new kind of structure and framework, they call it, kind of like for our apps, like an engine that we would all use, that would be opinionated on this stuff, but like, so that's why I had to throw out the common front end of the stuff that we did so far and start again. So it uses Webpack, and it uses a few Webpack templates. Like Vue CLI is really good if you're starting out with a Vue project that just in general, like, and there's a PWA template that will, you get a lot of stuff out of the box, and then Vuepack is another template. It was more, we took the kind of best from each, and we kind of made that our own template. But then what we did is we took that template, so like it's kind of front end builder right now is kind of part of dependency and part project template. So if you have that template, then you use our common front end builder dependency. It knows where everything is and it knows how to build it and all that. And it's way more opinionated because we're now drawing a line in the sand saying like, that was our legacy system that say a team of projects use, and then this is our new system. So our new system is like first class Vue support and things like that. And like we don't want to make it so that it will work for projects right now and work with Knockout, but also work with Vue that will complicate it too much, as I've already tried to do kind of the old way. So it's very opinionated. So like before, there was loads of config options for this. This one only has like one or two. That's all. So like what we want to do is like that's because we want to align the teams. We want to align the teams. That's the goal all the time. So like we don't want some teams using tabs and some teams using spaces and all that. Those kind of things. Like if there's something like someone says like I found a way to increase or reduce the bundle size. Like I said, we can do it for everyone. And then if there's a legitimate case where one app is different, we could add a config option if it's a valid use case. If it's not tabs versus spaces or whatever. If it's an actual valid use case, then we add a config option and we'll do it. But then a future team could reap from those benefits because then they've added that use case support. So yeah. So in it does all the compilation, bundling, tree shaking, load on demand, it's optimized for long-term caching, ES6, ESLint is another interesting one. We talk about that and love that. Like you can only write Go one way, and this is kind of something we feel like as well as that like we want all our apps to look, and like when we look at our code base, we want it to feel about the same. So the ESLint will actually enforce that at like there's a pre-commit hook, so when you're going to commit, it will fix some small errors that it can fix. So sometimes like you have an extra space on your line or whatever, we'll fix those when you're going to commit. But also like as you're using the app and you're like watching files and new stuff, will complain about things like unused variables and this and that, and it has to be in this shape. So we follow the Airbnb style for that. So this will help the line teams as well if everybody switches over and we're all starting to use the same code style as well. Yeah, ES6 anyway. SAS, so like the old common front end builder supported SANLS, but then so after talking to multiple front end guys like John PRS and stuff, like we're going to go just SAS. My opinion, there's not a massive difference, but the tools around SAS are better. Like the SAS lint, which we're using this as well, which will allow us to kind of enforce code side guidelines as well, so you're not spending time in code reviews like everybody or whatever, it's just done for you kind of automatically. So like same with ESLint, like if you hit save and so you could write absolute shit, you hit save and then it would like format and pop in one way and all of it goes in. So there's like service worker, pre-caching, there's actual tests for the whole app, like it'll open up and parallelize Selenium tests and click through your app. or there's like unit tests that are run in a headless browser. And it's kind of done with like continuous integration and stuff in mind. So and bundling dependency analysis, which is really nice. I thought I'd have to build this myself, but it was already there. So it's like this. So you run a command and it'll show you all your bundles, and you can see everything that's in it. You can see all the sizes and everything. You can analyze all that, and you can like turn off some of them. And like see here now, for example, this timeline item here, but it's also here, and it looks sort of big. Like, but I don't know if that actually really is a problem or not. But I'm just showing you like what you could use this for. It's pretty cool. So yeah, there's a lot more to it really. Like there's a lot of Webpack stuff underneath the hood. Like I said, I took most of it from other templates and stuff, and a few things from different teams that, like Vlad investing stress and wasting, where it's like it takes some CSS properties and it converts them pixels to rem, so you don't have to read in your code because it's kind of harder to. It's just easier to work with pixels. So yeah, I was going to give a quick demo of something. So I don't have that much time, I think, to talk about structure, so I won't go through like every directory, but one thing that's interesting is the components directory here. I don't know, can you see that? That following Teamwork Projects team, Dan Topper really like that. They've come up with this kind of terminology for components. It's kind of like Brad Foss atomic design, if you ever read that. So like widgets are components that they're the smallest components on the page, so the component things like that, field or whatever. And then a section is like a multiple widgets. It's like something like groups widgets. And then a modal is basically a section, except it pops up like a modal. And a page is a page. So like we break down all of our components like that. And that's kind of so like with Common Funding Builder we'd be like I said, some of it is dependency and some of it is a template. But some of it I suppose as well is kind of coding guidelines like I'll hopefully align the teams with as well. Like this, like that's described in the docs. Like we'd like if everyone did that. You can't really enforce it, but you know, it's what Dan Topper like. You know. So yeah, that was just one thing of the structure that I want to show you. So I was going to show you. Where's it? Alright, so here's some of our app right now, right? So it's a work in progress, but so what I wanted to show you was the hot module reloading. So the dev workflow is really cool. So if I go to submit this, oh shit, hold on. Alright. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to reload it just. Okay, so right. So if I go to submit this, right, it fails. So if I look at the error, demos always fail. I just threw in new error here. But normally, like, if you've live reload or whatever, the whole page reload, but there's actually state preserving hot module reload in this. So like, if I save this now, I won't have to open the modal again. The modal is still there. If you see down the bottom right, it's after actually sending a request and getting updates. So if I then just like see, like I don't have to open it and type in one again or anything like that, and now I save it and it works. You know. So imagine you're deep in a workflow, and you just always just like edit, and it just stays there. It stays deep. You might instead of having click, whatever. You know. Yeah. So what's next is like all the teams are going to be adopting it. So it's easier for us to do like the release mode pages and stuff in Knockout, so we could rewrite that. I think that's going to be written just there as well, and chat will be able to as well. But projects is such a beast that probably can't. So they're going to have to do some sort of hybrid, and over time increase the amount of video and increase the amount of macro, and we haven't quite figured that out yet. So really tricky. But that's the idea that everyone adopts it. Everybody can contribute to it, and you know, like that's the whole point. That like everybody who normally would be working in parallel and offering different timings, that you can improve this one thing, and we can all improve over time. Yeah. So we probably have generators. So like, if you're creating a new module, that you get to just like run a command, and then they'll ask you, okay, what kind of, is it a widget, is it a page, do you want unit tests for it, do you want this, do you want that, whatever, and then you say enter, and then it spits out a template for you. Maybe a generator for the whole project, maybe, I'm not sure. But we don't have if I like the Webpack, the way we use the way common front-end builder is, and we use Webpack as a dependency automatically. It's like, how do you test that? It's like there's no test right now. So like maybe one test eventually could be that like we have a generator for a project, we generate a project, then we run common front-end builder on it and check the output in this directory and see if that matches, and then that would prove that the whole thing is built correctly. Right? But we'll be sharing components as well. So this is kind of linked to common front-end builder, but also not. It's just really about aligning our front ends and web apps. So we want to align the designs as well as the code base, and a bit, you know, about person. No. So we're probably going to start sharing components, maybe even like as small as that, put them on NPM, then every team uses them, and then they're consumed by common front-end builder, and then over time we'll start aligning more and more design and sharing components like that. Because there is a lot of parallel work going on, like even things like drag and drop, or things like that, whatever. Obviously some things can't be shared, but ideally we just want to help each other out and keep stuff aligned. So yeah, so that'll be coming. We'll probably use like Storybook and things like that around that as well. We haven't actually we don't have any yet, but like I'd say the first one will probably be our header there. You can't really see it, but that's going to be a common header across the products. So that'll probably be the first few shared component that we're going to have on NPM. There's going to be loads of other features that come to it, like over time, like performance testing is one that'd be nice. Like Lighthouse, if you use Lighthouse, you may add Lighthouse integration, or else some kind of performance testing or performance budget. Like let's say you could say, I'd love if there was performance budget stuff. You could say, on this page, I don't want so much data to be loaded. I want it to load in under a certain amount of time. I want it to be interactive after so many milliseconds or whatever. And then every time you actually push a build, that's actually tested on Travis or CodeShip or whatever you use. That'd be really good to keep all that in check. Yeah. So like we could technically open source it as well, but like it's just an opinionated template kind of in a way. I'm not sure like how much benefit other people will get from it, but you know, there's no reason why we couldn't. Yeah, so that's my last slide. Any questions?
Is there going to be a dedicated team to maintain this, or is it's going to be shared?
Shared, yeah.
Okay.
So, like, Dan Topper kind of tasked me with, like, getting it up and going, and well, other teams are going to follow it. But then, as everyone's using it, they're going to find problems. Like if it was separate, then someone on the product team might find a problem with it and fix their own one. You do the same thing with this, they find a problem, fix it, you know. It's going to be interesting, right? Like, but, yeah.
It encourages two things. One is the sharing components, where you have to try to get the share content right once as if they work alone. You only own the package.
Yeah.
It's a design team, so they're starting to work on close together on unified view.
Yeah.
If we're all going to have to do it alone, because things,
yeah.
You know, it's hard to keep it on sides together.
Yeah, like especially with us doing Vue first and then our apps following, I would think that as we're building our app, we start breaking stuff off, because like for you, like you drag and drop on a board, and we kind of have a board view as you just saw there. Like we could split that off.
Within each section there are components.
Yeah, like little things, you know, we could split off, or the drag and drop compatibility, or like you might need to, I don't know, like, or the header, or modules, like modules. Like why would you have to go rewrite modes again after we just did it with this app, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean the framework of the mode. You know what I mean?
The other thing that's performance, so you should only put the same performance tricks that basically gives you.
Yeah. So I think that stuff. Well, alright. Some of that's in common for them, like, you know, it's optimized for kind of HTTP2 and caching, and like, there's going to be some of that built in by that. But then some of it will be down to your dependencies too. Like you shouldn't be using like jQuery getting, you know, using Axios or Fetch or something like that. That's up to you. I talked to a couple of people today, and they had like misconception that this actually locks down a lot more than you would think, but no, it doesn't. Like, so they were saying like that. They thought that the dependencies were common between all the products as well. So if one team wanted jQuery and then the other teams would get jQuery, but that's not true. It's just the building that's common, and you should have the same template, but even the version of Vue is up to you, because if you npm install it, and so those.
There's a common base.
Yeah, but those dependencies like Vue and if you use an Axios for fetching and things like that, they're actually up to you. yeah, we should ideally align them still. But yeah, I think we're all trying to do that anyway. So yeah, but no, I guess not. Mark, there's not really a dedicated team to it. I'm kind of tasked with making sure it works. So
I guess the CRM team would be.
yeah, but it's definitely encouraging contributions from everyone. Definitely.
We have to treat it like Launchpad, where we have to go thing out, where we
Yeah.
have someone from the team
Yeah.
on it to help maintain it, because you just fall back and start to fix it. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I see that happen with things like dev events, but then that's a little bit different too because of what kind of thing that is, and not a lot of people know about it. Whereas everyone would, if different teams were doing different things, and Adrian fixed something on Team Chatsville system, he would be able to fix this one too. Like, you know.
I think there'll be more people using it every day on different teams. It's
Yeah.
like that could be cost.
But the good thing is that since it's taken a state of the art thing and taking templates and stuff, it works like completely order loss. It's nice, but we can improve it over time, which is good. Like for example, it's not using the layers by pack version because there's some problem with hot module reloading. There's a bug. So like once that's fixed, we can reduce the bundle sizes by a lot because I do this module concatenation thing. So once I do that, like every team who's using kind of something again will be benefits, you know. Yeah, we definitely don't want it to. We'll definitely be improving over time.
There would like to be like a change of mindset in the way of like, for example, with certain components in the way we test stuff that we actually don't on the client. So there would like to be a change in the mindset there. Because like if you are doing like a shared component, it's very easy to break for somebody else.
Definitely. Same with this.
There's a whole
When you're fixing this, you gotta think of other things, not just your own thing, you know.
there's like strict design pattern for sure. You once like that, like it's not you wouldn't design the component just for you, like it has to be very strict, almost like a separate module. You think of it as separate.
Yeah. But you're right though. How do you test that module on its own? And we haven't created one yet, so we're not sure, you know. Like it could be very something like a button, doesn't it? Does that? So how much testing?
But every component has to have like default state, which should have default set, which just do itself. Also be unit test for it, just does a thing.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, you click the button, it fires the click out or whatever.
If you want to add really crazy shit test, you extend it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
The
so
design-
I'm sure this will be interesting as we're doing it. Like, but like another thing is this view story if you've ever seen that. So it's a way that you can actually look at all the components on their own outside of the app and actually draw what kind of stuff is taken. But yeah, we have to. Another thing about that is normally on NPM. If you have something, let's say even in CoffeeScript, TypeScript, whatever, you usually compile it to JavaScript and then publish it to NPM so that it's just consumable by everyone without having any build step or whatever. But with this, since it's going to be consumed by common front-end builder, you're probably going to put the actual view file and SCSS file and the ES6.js file just straight, not transpile or anything on NPM because it's going to common front-end builder to take care of the rest thing. So it's kind of a different thing as well. So during the test, like you're saying, it might actually output JavaScript and test it, but then when you're publishing, you're actually sharing ES6. If you know.
It's a common process between them and backend as well. Like a lot of Go apps, desk guys are modularizing the modules they have in desk to make them available to all the other teams. And
Yeah.
those modules would be treated as if they're portable and
Yeah.
they all contribute to things like the cache module and the DB module and all the others.
Yeah, all that stuff is really good. I think that's the way we should be going. There's no point in duplicating the work, you know.
What I can see happening is that, like, for example, if you are taking like a safety approach and you have, let's say, a built-in component and you want to do some crazy stuff, you probably don't want to commit that or to extend the original widget or whatever. You just create a fork of that and it can happen across the teams. That's the thing that I can see happening if people are afraid to contribute to the main component.
Like, if you have a button that you really need to focus on, you could put in your own project too, like just in the components directory. But I would think that eventually when we're sharing components for everything, let's say drop downs and buttons are all, we're using the same stuff all over. Our UIs would look pretty different than they are now, I'd say they look a lot more similar, you know. That I would assume the design team would have some sort of pattern library or something like that. Kind of like Bootstrap docs, where like they'll say these are our 4 types of buttons. There's a small button, a big button, it's CTA button, and a button with a split drop down next to it. And then with those 4 components on APM, and why would you ever deviate away because your designer saying, I'm putting that button here and that button here, because you know, if some, it kind of would nearly imply that they're also deviating away from the design, you know. But that's the goal anyway, eventually. So,
in a pull request, it's like the rest of your team will do why you have this button and you have to pass it like
yeah.
you understand that language you talk to POS, you talk to this draft POS, can this be tweaked? Like
Yeah.
our idea when we were talking about sharing quotes like a year and a half ago is that we want to get to the place where the developers, like the actual code application developers, aren't going creating UI widgets from scratch themselves. They have this bit of design team that's something that's
Yeah, that could be up. Yeah, I mean, we're still figuring this stuff out, you know.
We kind of need designers to come up with the design system as well before we can do that properly.
Yeah, definitely. This is not all ready to go either yet. But
The designers are given a page to design, and they're not following the design template. Everything we do is going to be new because the components aren't going to match.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, like some of it will happen with us though, I think. Like say like the common headers when the common in all the projects. Some things like that might happen out of our app because when you're making your newest app, it's going to be your shiniest shit, like isn't it? Whatever, like so we're going to try and break off some stuff and like get as much like so even if every team used our buttons right and it might look slightly weird in one project, then the design team could look at it and fix it and then make it look good for all products and then you know once it's already common dependency you can fix it for everyone.
There was a coding style, so design style guide that they were developing that was never in place.
There was a style guide done for the website and stuff.
Or part of it.
Yeah, and I think someone like he was working on an app one maybe, but I'm not sure. But I know that they care about this stuff as well. They definitely want to learn the design and stuff. But it brings up a lot of this stuff isn't solved yet, but it brings up other problems too. Like, what if you are using some component like a module, and then something's wrong? It's a dependency in your own modules. How do you debug that and improve that while you're developing your app? So you need to improve those processes and stuff as well. So in creating the first component, the header component, we'll probably figure out some interesting stuff. We might even answer all the questions, but we might figure out like how do we test it or how do we develop it alongside the one app and things like that. But it's exciting. Yeah. That it? I don't know. Good. So that wasn't stressful at all.
for us even not doing.
Nice one.
Thanks, Ed.
Yes. Very fun.
No worries.